Hello and welcome to Sport Vibes on DNTWOK. Of course, this is that channel where you get latest updates across the world of sports. My name is Bolaji and I'm your host. This time around, we will be focusing on football because there's a lot of talking points. We have a big news coming from the world of soccer. Of course, you might have heard about that already, but we briefly talk about Formula One because that world is ever buzzing. And what else to talk about on Formula One other than the fact that Lewis Hamilton won the inaugural Qatar Grand Prix with a commanding performance from pole to cut Max Verstappen's World Championship lead to just 8 points, with 2 races left in the Formula One Championship. Before I talk about Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen and the whole race between Mercedes and Red Bull, there was a surprising figure who also had a podium finish, who secured a podium finish over the weekend, and that was the 40-year-old Fernando Alonso. Yeah, you heard that right. 40 years of age, but since 2014, for the first time since the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2014, Fernando Alonso was able to secure a podium finish. But let's talk about the two guys, the two big aunts now. Talking about the Dutchman Max Verstappen for Red Bull, and of course the 7-time championship winner Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes. So it's been quite a season. It's been quite a year in the Formula One. Just 2 races left. There will be a week break now. We are going to Saudi Arabia and of course Abu Dhabi in mid-December to conclude the whole season. And what level of anticipation should we have when you look at what is going on right now? At some point, especially after those victories for Verstappen in United States and Mexico, many people thought maybe that is just it for the season. But when it comes to guys like Lewis Hamilton, you can just not rule things out, and that is exactly what he has proven. The kind of character that makes him such a big winner. So Lewis Hamilton not giving up. It's now just 8 points between Max Verstappen at the top of the log and Lewis Hamilton. So that is one to look out for till the end. Of course, the Drivers' Championship is the major focus for many, but don't forget that the teams also are still trying to see if they can secure theirs, talking about the constructors. So that is how far we will talk about Formula One for now, because the major news in the world of soccer talks about Manchester United, and you might have heard about this already, as I said earlier, but finally, I guess that is what many fans are saying, finally, because it's something they had been expecting. It's been a long time coming. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been sacked. I don't know. I know where to start from, but there's so much to talk about when you are looking at this man, this club, and what is going on right now. Talk about his pre-employment, everything that surrounded his employment. He was in as a sort of makeshift or interim manager, if you'd like to call it that way. And then there were those run of victories, and of course the comeback against Paris Saint-Germain. I'm talking about Solskjaer now ever since his appointment in 2018 December, and that makes it almost 3 years. When you last close to 3 years at a club as huge as Manchester United nowadays in the world of football, I think you should congratulate yourself, because gone are those days when you have guys like Sir Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger spending decades at a single club. Nowadays, regardless of how huge you are, I think even if the clubs are not willing to let the managers go, some managers are just so ambitious, they just want to try something new. Now let's come back to Solskjaer and talk about what really what's the problem, or should we say what is the problem with Manchester United, because you'd agree with me that there is a problem with this club. It's not to say everything is doom and gloom, of course, they are shining lights, but for a fan, for someone who loves Manchester United, you definitely know that this is not the Manchester United you grew up supporting, especially if you were much around during the time of Sir Alex Ferguson. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Manchester United. Stay tuned. This is still Sport Vibes on DNTWOK, and we have been talking about Manchester United, that big club in England, of course the most successful club in the Premier League with the number of titles. And then let's look at Solskjaer. Let's talk about how things where did things go wrong for Solskjaer? Where did it all go wrong? But To start with, do you think Solskjaer was that man? I'm asking for your opinion because I'd expect you to register those things at the comment section below. But talk about Solskjaer. I think sentiment, emotion, and business may not work together perfectly. I'm looking at football as a business because that is what it is right now. We've seen quite a number of these in the last few years. Talk about Thierry Henry, of course, a teenager at Monaco during his playing days, had quite a decent career with them. Of course, we know his big career period came at Arsenal, but Thierry Henry went back to Monaco, and then it wasn't as planned. You know the rest of the story, and if you don't, he did not do well. That is a summary. Now you talk about Frank Lampard. That is of recent memory at Chelsea. This was an absolute legend. Talk about a midfielder with an illustrious amount of goals for a midfielder. A lot of them from outside the box. Talk about quite a number of huge achievements as a player. But coming in as a coach at a decent season, you consider the fact that odds were stacked against him. There was this transfer ban at Chelsea. Eden Hazard left that same summer, but he was able to just manage and qualify for the UEFA Champions League, and then something huge was expected the next season because now they had a chance to sign Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner, and all these wonderful big players. But at the end of everything, it just was not that kind of drama that many people wanted to be. That kind of just didn't take that kind of Hollywood setting many people would have loved, and I think that is where some clubs get it wrong. Wanting to get a former player, there is nothing bad in that, in getting an ex-star to come back, because there's an advantage in the sense that he knows about the club, he has a connection with the fans, and that means that he may be able to get some things into gear faster than an outsider, talking about someone just coming to the club for the first time. But nonetheless, when it comes to managerial career, when it comes to managers, especially in the Premier League, you need to be tactically astute. All these things can be compliments: knowing about the club, knowing the culture, having a good relationship with the fans. All these things should not be done away with, but the priority remains the fact that a club as huge as Manchester United, they want to win trophies. So when you talk about Manchester United, you know that the fans expect majorly three things: to have this attractive attacking football, to have players from the academy feature consistently, and of course to win trophies. So I think Solskjaer was able to manage one and a half, if you ask me. That's me giving my opinion. He was able to play some kind of attractive football. Of course, many would argue that he never really had a pattern compared to maybe Guardiola, who we knew for, or we still know for that tiki-taka or gang pressing for Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. Solskjaer never really had that pattern, that stamp that you could see and say this is an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's team. Nonetheless, to an extent, he met certain expectations. He was quite unlucky as well. We talk about several FA Cup semi-finals, Europa League semi-final, and then the last season's unfortunate loss to Villarreal against all odds. So it's been about fine margins, and at the end of the day, when he's reflecting on these matches, I think those made a huge difference. At the time, maybe they were not considered huge. Europa League is not really synonymous to Manchester United. You talk about a huge club, arguably the biggest club in England, known for winning huge things. But right now, even in football, Europa League is something worthwhile. So Solskjaer, in terms of his delivery, I think at some point he got many fans happy, and some people have said that he was able to restore some things that were lost during the Jose Mourinho's era. I'm saying this because I see myself as an outsider. I'm not giving opinion or trying to impose my opinion. I'm just trying to say this to provoke your thoughts and let's know what you think really went wrong. I'll still want us to take a short break, and when we come back, we look at more on Solskjaer.
It's Rashford, it's the perfect start. Herrera. And the shot!
We are discussing Manchester United. It's no longer news that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is out of the door now. He is no longer the Manchester United manager. Disappointing for him, but that is football for you, of course. About 6 managers sacked already this season in the Premier League. That goes to show the level of competition and what is at stake. But for Manchester United, we've talked about Solskjaer. We've talked about the fact that maybe some things were just not in his favor. You talk about those losses at crucial stages of cup competitions. Already this season, the team is out of the Carabao Cup. And now there is one thing I want us to quickly talk about before we move on to Manchester United as a club, because I believe it would be unfair to blame everything going wrong at Manchester United on this man. So let's start from this point of view. There is this narrative that from the starting point, Solskjaer was never really that man that was up to the task. Come on, you're talking about a man that could only spend 8 months at Cardiff City and got them relegated at the end of that season in 2014. And then, yes, maybe successes here and there at Molda, but when you're talking about a club of Manchester United status, you know that coaches that are needed, they are coaches with a lot more on their CV. So maybe a low profile CV coming into the job, according to this narrative, a low profile CV coming into a job as huge as that of Manchester United meant that Solskjaer could not really challenge the Glazers, Ed Woodward, and many other things, many other personalities that may not be getting things right internally in the club. So what's your thoughts on that? I'd like to know that as well. Manchester United, is it just about Solskjaer? Come on, Jose Mourinho, David Moyes, these guys have come and gone and nothing seems to change. Of course, talk about players as well. Angel Di Maria, Radamel Falcao, Robin Van Persie. Of course, Robin Van Persie was there under Alex Ferguson. Just mentioning huge players that left this club since the post-Ferguson era. Let's talk more about Manchester United. What do you think is going wrong at the club? Do you think sacking managers and employing new ones is the solution? We'll look at the fact that Antonio Conte was available at some point before he was snapped up by Tottenham Hotspur, but Manchester United seem not to be interested because guys have said that Manchester United, Ed Woodward, when I'm saying Manchester United, talking about Ed Woodward, we talk about the Glazers and these guys that run the things, the hierarchy of the club. Maybe they are just looking for that soft touch, that kind of manager that will not rail against any of their decisions, that manager that can come in, and just ride with whatever they are doing. But I think what the fans need is a manager that knows the club, like Solskjaer did. Doesn't just know the club, that has the passion and is willing to show the passion that this is what this club represents and this is what should go this way, this is how this should go that way. So I think maybe that is more of what they need. Maybe someone like Antonio Conte, of course, his history tells you a lot about how bold he can be, challenging owners. Talk about the most recent job he got before he came to the Premier League, before he returned to the Premier League at Inter Milan. He never hid his intentions about how the club is being run, signing of players and all these things. So maybe that is part of what Manchester United need, but I personally think it's a lot deeper than that. So I'd also like to have your opinion. I'm really asking for quite a number of things this time around. I want to know what you think about football nowadays. Are we still going to get those days back where that this manager is coming in and he's going to have time, he's going to be there? Of course, Solskjaer had time. I'm not talking about that in terms of Manchester United, but just looking at football generally, managers being sacked almost like they were never on the job. I want to know your thoughts. Are we ever going to have that period back, a period of stability? Mauricio Pochettino spent more than 5 years, if I'm correct, at Tottenham Hotspur. Is he ever going to have anything like that again? It seems it's just 1.5 years, 3 years at the maximum nowadays. So we need stability. We want clubs with identity. We want, as much as football is business, we want sports. We want football. We want sports. Everything at all in sports. We want those days back where we know that it's not just for the money making. These clubs, these owners, these managers care about the fans, about their passion, and they want to connect with those that come. That is how far we will go. Don't forget the UEFA Champions League is back. Of course, a lot of clubs vying for places in the round of 16, and time is running out for some of them. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you liked it, and share the video. Follow us on our platforms on YouTube, which is where you're getting to see us, I believe, on YouTube, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook at DNTWOK. My name is Bolaji Alimi. I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.